words, the
Yeah.
colors, depending on the kind of anonymized information that come to your landing page or website, send them different information. It
Yep.
actually is legit. This is like real AI.
It's going to take another 4 to 8 months to refine everything and see what actually works. But that's as we just said, that's going to fly by. And so within 4 to 8 months, we're going to know what is real, what isn't real. When things are hyped up like this, there's always a lot of turbulence. But this one seems to be smoothing out sooner rather than later. And then there's a lot of extra tech coming with it, and we all know it's only getting smarter, which is very exciting and terrifying at the same time. I use it, let's say, bi-weekly AI, whether it's writing a caption or creating some sort of ad content, but it hasn't taken over my life in the CPG world. It's helped me with the thing that helped me the most was writing a press release. I think
Yeah,
that's where it's incredibly
it's
creative and
taking away
helpful.
my job,
Exactly.
dad's job, right? That's what we used to do, and it's pretty
Yep.
good.
And I
Actually,
just
it's
saw
really
Sarah
good.
Silverman and a few other actors and authors are now suing AI for regurgitating their books better than they can, or they didn't want the software to ingest their
It's like
books in the first
proactive.
place. And
Yep,
they
they need
said
consent because it is being inspired and taught on their creative. They'll never get money for it. And probably at their height, it's not going to take away their jobs. It's definitely more the long
yeah,
tail. But you fight it now. Just slow it down, slow down
might
the
as well.
inevitable.
Well, as we
Yeah, and so
speak, they have that actors strike, and I'm sure it has something to do with it, at least for the big named actors, where Forrest Gump could become a reality again, which is
yeah,
awesome, excellent movie. But who owns that? Why do they own it? And what is it actually capable of? I remember seeing deep fakes of ex presidents, but this was 6, 7, 8 years ago, and we were freaked out,
yeah.
concerned back then. Now I feel like we need AI to detect AI.
We have some AI that can do that, and also, luckily, it was a weird feature at first, but I'm on Twitter a lot, yes. There's something called community notes, and it checks as like a community. It's like a hive mind, and it wrecks everybody from like politicians to comedians to meme accounts to straight up businesses. They just get called out for
As they
making stuff
should.
up or being just completely wrong, not on purpose.
Or maybe on purpose. Being wrong and
Right.
sexy and causing controversy and chaos sells. It's this bizarre world where capitalism has gone to this direction that money at all costs. Almost human life and human mentality are third in line. I don't even know what's second, but they're sure as hell not
Right.
tied for first like it used to
I
be.
do it for the clicks, for the likes. Yep. People are doing weird stuff on TikTok and Instagram. We're not going to get into like whatever memes are like actually
Yeah.
kind of dangerous, and the police are like, please don't do this. But on the AI train, billions of dollars have been raised. And so old news was ChatGPT, OpenAI raised like $10 billion, worth 30, 40 billion. And a lot of that was all corporate. I think
Yeah.
5, 10 billion of that alone just came from Microsoft. Why? They have their own research. You have to use their cloud computing platform. So they're kind of like paying themselves.
Yeah.
NVIDIA gave money, whether that came in the form of cash or just chips. Chips are the new gold, or not even gold. They're the new like platinum, like whatever you can get, unobtainium. Um, and so they had to buy as many clusters as possible. There's like a black market for these chips to run your LLMs, large language models, as fast as possible. And I use it. It's on an app. You can ask it any question. I was just rewriting songs to the themes of pickleball because I'm a weirdo like that. And like it's so good. I was writing blog posts. That's where like half of mine come from as like an inspiration. I used it to generate like websites. I just clicked like next, 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 and it was changing different colors. And I just type in words and themes. It works. It definitely got hyped. Everyone's like, oh my God, it's the future. This is huge. So what did everyone do? Every VC needed one. So every VC put down 100 to a few $100 million in every company. And every indie hacker made their own. Not nearly, I guess, as good, like exponentially, but there are thousands of them. If you go to the App
Yep.
Store, if you go online, thousands on Twitter, and people are making good money, 5, 10, $20,000 a month. These aren't going to be like VC backable businesses, and they'll slowly kind of fade away. But if you were there during like the picks and shovels now for a little bit longer, these are good, solid businesses. Some kind of VC backable, but they really are going to have to, like everything else, hit like that few
Well,
hundred
it
million in
it became
revenue.
a gold rush because it's like open API. If everybody had to
Yeah,
build their own version of, that's a different story. But whatever the source code is for ChatGPT 4, and there's a bunch of other ones now, it's
yeah,
open.
Claude,
It's like
Bard,
it's like patents don't even matter in this case. I don't know if they're doing it
a
on
what?
purpose for the better good. That I got my patent framed. I thought it was cool.
There we go. That will help in the
But
lawsuit.
is there anything actually proprietary here? Right? So say somebody does come up with a great use version type of thing for ChatGPT. I don't even know the language or the lingo. But
So
there will
it
be
is
something that
unique.
is, yeah, there is hype, of course, but there is something here opposed to the NFT hype and a few other hypes that we've jumped on board the past two and a
Yes.
half, 3 years because we were bored. We needed some hype. We needed some controversy. Now,
Yeah.
you know, oh, there we go. The people that are going to win are the people that know how to bend how to use it.
Right.
Because the
And
way
that's what
just
like
I use it, I feel like I barely use it. But the people that manipulate it, I don't know how to describe it, will
yeah,
start winning.
you train it. And so there's like two
Train it.
senses of it. There is the like OpenAI, you have the Bards, you have all these companies that are raising hundreds of millions, billions of dollars. And as you said, what's the difference? I can't tell you. Different neural network LLMs are trained on different types of data sets, whether it's open or closed, it's observable, not observable, how many tokens, right? Like how many inputs can it process at once? So that's great on the back end. That's good for business. As a consumer and like we're the tech savvy ones, like all things considered, I don't even care. I just want to
Yeah.
ask the question like Google and get back an answer. How it got to that answer, whether it took 1 or 2 seconds, I don't care. I just want the writer answer. And so that's on the tech side. On the
Yeah.
other side, as you were saying, people can bend it to their will. And so that's how you train it. There's a company like Character AI. I didn't know what it was at first. It raised like 100 million. It's literally unlimited types of chatbots. I can talk to Einstein. I can talk to an anime character. I can talk to a president. I can talk to a beaver, like anything you want. And it got hyped because they trained it specifically on like their own literature. And then you can do that, but mostly they're wrappers. So not that bad thing. As you said, they're APIs, right? So here's the API, I wrap it, it does one thing very specifically, and it's good at that. And hopefully it keeps that and people don't get bored. But we're always starting to see like some layoffs and some like trends coming over the hill because it got too hot.
Yeah, I think it's going to come full circle and then become part of the circle. And what I mean by that is, the automated voice box, right? You call the
Yeah.
IRS, click one, click two, and then say your address or say your zip code. We understand, and then say yes. That's where I felt like it's been incorporated in my life for the past 8 to 9 years, where I could talk to a phone bot. Let's just say that. And then the other side of the equation,
Yep.
when the phone bot's
Yeah.
call me, hey, you there? I can't hear you. And I'm
Hey.
like, are you a human or?
Oh,
And then
hi.
it gets, oh, hi, this is John calling from. And I'm like, I still can't tell if you're human, but I can tell this is a sales call.
Yeah. But
So I think it's going to come
Yep.
back full circle for the 98% of people that use it that just click 000 to get to a human.
Yep.
Human touch
Yep.
is what AI is trying to gently recreate. But I'd rather speak to a human than AI, unless the AI outperforms the human, whatever that means. And I haven't
In
seen it
some ways
specifically
it
yet.
is and will.
what I think when I think it's going to surpass the human is, I hate that we all the Terminator stage where Boston Dynamic and these things come together. That's
I
where
know.
shit's going to get weird. And that's what I'm super
Weird.
excited for. But this is going to turn into the Jetsons when those two, and I'm sure they
But like, let me
are.
go buy like 100 acres somewhere in the middle of nowhere where they can't get me for a while.
And the Doomsday, they'll be able to. If you have, I don't even know anything that's electronic. I feel like
They're trying to
it
regulate
just
it, and it's not possible.
no. And what is
And
proprietary about it?
it's the data sets and how it's all wired together, how fast it is. It's how it's trained. That's probably the best way I can describe it. It's like, oh, you have data set one, data set two. As you're saying, oh, does this include like Sarah Silverman and these writers? Like, what data did it learn on? Right. How is it wired in the back end? Like, literally, what plugs into what? How fast are the GPUs? Right. Do you have the best GPUs or not the best? Or how fast can it actually compute? How many can it do at a time? How specific can it be? So
As a
is it
CPG
going to,
founder, you're talking gibberish to me. I
right.
just want to learn
So,
how to use it most properly, and I'm still trying to figure it out. Besides email flows and all the obvious stuff that you would use it for, almost like if you're in like university.
right. And so it's kind of like, as you were saying before, this isn't meant for consumers. That was the hype. The real
Yeah,
business and the real money is all in B2B, but they had to get you excited about it. That got the hype, it got them funding. But at the end of the day, it's just going to be like, oh, I'm just talking to my iPhone, I'm talking to something else. It's what crypto always wanted to be and what they always sold us, that it will just be there. You won't even know that you're using crypto. You won't even know, well, no, you'll know now that you're using AI. We don't care what it is, how it's trained. Just give me my answers. And in terms of jobs, okay, it's coming a little bit after journalism and writing. That's the lowest hanging fruit.
yeah,
All the writing media companies are starting to use it because they have to. They have to produce content. They have to get eyeballs. Customer service, easy, right? Call centers, answering questions better than the chatbots we used to have, which were Boolean, which is just if this, then that. It's like, oh, I'll choose this. Great. Here's a branch. I'll go this way. No. Okay. I'll go this way. Like, not AI. That was just like a factor tree. And so it's going to be years before it's really integrated into everything, but it's the real deal. When we'll implant it into like a machine and like a Boston uh, robot, probably already happening, and it's going to
yeah.
freak us out very soon.
What was the original? I mean, I don't know if we know the answer. What was the premise of creating AI? Was it just based out of sci-fi books, or do we believe there's a real purpose for it? Because what I've noticed, at least in business and in life, and doing things, I should say, human error is usually the problem. Whether I screwed something up,
Yeah,
I clicked the wrong button, I said the wrong thing, or I didn't do
the
something.
weakest link.
Human error really is the weakest link. So if we could somehow take out human error without greed, ego, or envy being, biased in the
The seven deadly sins.
algorithms, but there's always going to be somebody that's going to complain that it's
There's
going the
always
wrong way.
bias
Yeah,
because it was made by humans, right? Until it starts
exactly.
teaching itself, which it can. So there's always bias. Whoever made it has some type of bias. And that's just pretty much until it writes itself. But then it was written on its own. It has its own bias. Like, I must destroy humans. Okay, that's a little biased. Where it developed, my assumption it came from universities. That's where years
Yes.
ago, like the Bell Labs universities, they wanted to do more research. They wanted it to learn. They wanted to teach itself to be faster, better, stronger. DNA sequencing, right? How far can
Yeah.
the brain and mind go 24/7? This can run at all times. We need to sleep. We're not machines. So that is where I believe it came from. The next episode, I'll have an answer for you. But think of it like what is the most amazing part? Well, one of the most amazing parts is Google. And I'm reading all these like Reddit posts about like all these existential crisis, all these brilliant PhDs from
Yeah.
universities are having that in Google. They have a company called DeepMind they acquired. They also have Google Research. There are people who are being paid $1 million a year to do this research because you're getting paid $1 million a year. It's a lot of money, but if you can train this a little bit better, you can make Google I don't know, $100 million. So like to them, that means nothing. But now that OpenAI came out and it really is that amazing technologically, they made so many people obsolete. So many people are jumping ship to go to OpenAI. So many brilliant people spent years of their lives and overnight, basically, multiple years of success to get there, their jobs, brilliant people are obsolete. So like ironically, we thought it would come for like media first. We thought it would come for like
Yeah.
low-hanging jobs. It came for the smartest people because if you can't work at the number one or two or three company, then you're just spinning your wheels. You have no chance against them. It's like the freakonomics that the smartest, like highest paid people are now the ones who are freaking out.
So I mean, we always ask, who's getting rich out of this? Who's making the money? Who's going to walk away in 4 to 7 years with the piggy bank? Sure, ain't going to be me.
Yep,
It's going to help me probably improve my business 3 to 13% on the best execution of using some sort of AI. It
margins.
doesn't help my manufacturing. It doesn't help my logistics. A lot of it's just handwritten book that makes more sense than not. I actually just saw a university because so many kids are using it to write. You have to write by hand now. So back to the full
One
circle
of
thing. No
our
computer. Write an
investments,
essay has to be by
Hyperwrite,
hand.
yeah,
And
one
of
of our
course they
investments,
have to print them.
Hyperwrite, and other side got a little bit of traction with university students using it, and it was around finals time.
But the other side of it, if you use it properly, it makes you superhuman. And then, when I remember things, I don't want to age ourselves, but growing up, spell check is a huge deal. And it turns out I can't spell a word properly
None of us could spell.
because I used the original correction software. Let's call it AI. It knew what I
Clippy.
wanted to write, and I just knew I had to get the first 4 letters correct for it to finish my sentence and my word. Well, my word, and now it finishes my sentences. So
Yep.
I don't know who's going to win. I'll win 1 to 13% in the next 3 to 4 years using something like this. But who's winning 99%?
Big tech. So
Yeah.
this is the kind of catch 22 right now is that tech startups are in the worst possible spot right now. There's no VC funding, there's no startup funding. The only advice that we can give startups right now is get profitable, which means you're slowing down on growth. Meanwhile, the bigger companies, big tech is getting bigger. They fired 100,000 people. So not only are they getting stronger, they're getting leaner. Have you seen that like jacked picture of Zuckerberg? He's fighting. Like
Yeah, you had a great
that
tweet.
is him and like Meta as like a metaphor. So Microsoft, great. They're worth what, 1.5 trillion. Oh, here's $10 billion. It literally means nothing to them. And their stock is almost at an all-time high. Meta, they fired 20,000 people and they are now their R&D has always been amazing, but everyone is like, "Oh wow, they still print $10 billion in profit every single quarter." Nvidia, they are now making $1 trillion market cap because everyone needs their chips. That is who it runs on. Startups will make a little bit of money. Some people got some secondaries, but it's not us. As you said, though, if you can get 3 to 13%, whatever it is, hypothetically, that's great in terms of
Yeah.
margins. One of our investments, Turing, loved the idea of it. It was using AI when we invested years ago, and now they're utilizing it more. But they can take in like your ingredients, your sales data, the price of different products, and a little bit of consumer behavior, and they can formulate it in a way that says, hey, try this. Oh, that is a little bit too expensive. This sold better, right? These insights and combining it. So it's how you use it. A lot of companies are doing it for SEO. They're writing content,
Yeah.
they're doing their tweets using it with you and maybe some margins. If you feed it some data, maybe it will just print out an answer for you. That's kind of what we're hoping. It's like, hey, read this Excel spreadsheet. Here's my information. How do I make me better, faster, stronger? Okay, if that gets you 3%, that's great in your business.
Time is money, and it helps kill some. It helps alleviate just doing things, right? It could write a whole press release. It could write my post and give me 10 of them. It creates
Yep.
A/B test on my own behalf, opposed to me having to do it. But the people that maybe aren't the giant companies that are leading this, the country's stock market to be excellent, right? I mean,
Yeah.
when I turn on the news, we all know that most real Americans don't own any giant chunk of the stock market to make any sense. To make it,
No.
that if it goes up, we're making. But there's people dominating the stock market. It's always been like that. The one thing I read about all the
Yep.
time is, can AI beat the stock market? And from my understanding, it's 49%, right? So you can't say it's going to beat it. It's not going to lose it. It sure does better than the average person, but I don't believe it could do better than a professional at the moment until you put that
Right.
professional's brain, attach it to AI, and
And they're trying.
it could try it. So, I feel like AI is the new savants. But
It
you said
is.
you
It's
have to
definitely
train
getting
it,
there.
manipulate it to, give you the outcome that you want.
And that's what people are doing. No question. There are brilliant people out there who are working on this so they can trade faster with sentiment. And as you said, right, there are people out there, they know what's going on. I follow all these Twitter accounts and they're like, wow, someone just bought a ridiculous amount of calls. Like this stock, they think the stock's gonna go up next week. Someone always knows. Um, right? It's like, oh, the Nancy Pelosi tracker. Oh, she's also on the board that voted for
Yeah.
something and knew it was going to pass. Okay, fine. Like someone always knows. But that's not AI, right? That's something that AI can't do. But in terms of AI, sure, it can trade faster. It can ingest more data. Like, oh, why did stock go up? Oh, they announced this. Cool. Okay, they can be that, get that information quickly. But where is it gonna hit us the hardest? We really don't know yet. So every startup, every public company, if you look at the charts, is like saying AI, 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 AI in all of their transcripts and all of their pitches because it's expected. I was just at a dinner and someone's like, "Oh, I have a company. I'm looking for a term sheet, pre-product revenue," and everyone's like, "Is it AI?" No. "Oh, okay, fine, move on." But
No,
now it's
being
even overhyped. And no one wants an AI company because even a pre-product, like pre-seed company, if it's not like a brilliant person, it's not AI.
and anybody that is making money, it's all on paper at the moment. Making paper on money is awesome, but it's also just as painful as awesome as it is, because just
Yeah.
like you and I, you're an investor, I'm an inventor and CEO. I'm a capitalist as much as I adore what I've created.
Yep.
Um, I'm in the business of exits. I build something to sell it,
Same.
which is a bizarre phenomenon because it becomes such part of you and your lifestyle. But I build something to sell it. I believe the business should be in the best hands possible. But you don't know, you know, on paper, I could be worth tens of millions of dollars, but as a founder, I'm still just on a lazy salary eating ramen noodle. Not literally, but that's the way it feels compared to the success of the business that you've built. People have $10
Right.
million businesses. It doesn't mean that they're millionaires. It's this weird phenomenon where people see success and believe it trickles down to the founders and to the employees, and
Well, they
eventually
see
and hopefully it
perceived.
does. And it did
Yeah.
work that way. During the before everything just got hit hard, people were worth millions of dollars with companies RSUs and equity and options, and that's really what people were working for. The paychecks are one thing; those are stability. But you work to have equity in a business that eventually will either IPO, unfortunately SPAC, or it gets just straight out bought. But that's the only way to win.
Yeah.
Huge. There's no other real
And
way
that
to do
happens
it
1% of the time.
if you're lucky.
Right. And as you said, you're in the business of exits. You raised venture capital. And as a venture capitalist, I'm not in the business of investing. That is a feature of the ability to find exits. And so, as you were saying, the last few years, it got crazy. Too many companies raised too much capital, too high valuations. Their expectations will never meet their valuations. Like at the networking event we just went to, I met a founder and I was like, oh, what's going on? I don't know anything about you. How's it going? Oh, we're doing great. We raised the Series B. I'm like, okay, that doesn't mean you're successful. If you raised the Series B, it means someone thought that you were worthwhile. We raised it on millions of dollars. It's like, wait, you raised a Series B on million. Okay, that was 2 years ago. That was 2021. It
The
was,
different Series
but
B.
that's right in 2021 because that's what the expectation was. You know what? There were IPOs. There was a lot of liquidity. Okay, SPACs mostly for the SPAC sponsors, not so much everybody else. But as you said, it's on RSUs, it's on options. And you know what? Before Silicon Valley Bank went under, they were the most friendly bank, and we needed them for 40 years. Bless their heart. Once again, I know I shouted them out last time. We're going to miss them. If you had millions raised in venture capital and your
Yeah.
valuation was X amount, they would give you loans towards it. They would give you mortgages towards it. They took care of us. But now all that's gone away, where now you raise a few $1,000,000, your company is worth 20 million, you're 50-50 founders, great. You're worth $6 to $8 million on paper, not liquid, very low probability to become real. No one's giving you anything.
Yeah. So the only the advice that I would give to founders, I've been networking hard the past 2-3 weeks. One, that's something you got to get back on your feet. I know we used to roll our eyes going to events, but now the
Yep.
people that have the calluses who've been there, done that, and got through it, or starting something at the worst time, are the people you
Yeah.
want to touch, be in touch with. But everybody has the same problem. People can't create their dreams because money is dry. The powder is dry, and unfortunately, it
Yeah.
requires somebody else's money. And what I love about somebody else's money is more than the money. It's a belief that you have it and that you're onto something, and that money is here to be a vehicle for you to achieve something, and hopefully, you give us a return on our investment. But as you mentioned before this call, if you could just do either a down round or a bridge round, that's still a beautiful, weird thing. You would never do that, or that would never be
Yep.
sexy, or it'd be a desperate move a few years ago. But now it's almost like a one-up mushroom.
It is because with such limited capital, especially as like a fund or an investor, do I want to make a new investment, like start clean? Or is this company actually close, right? A bridge to somewhere. If you take the time to do a down round, it is not easy. It's not fun. It's not clean. It's depressing. But if someone wants to take the time and give you capital, then they believe that you're worthwhile. So we're seeing a lot of VCs double down their companies. They get a lot more equity. They just do it at a more reasonable valuation. You look at the AngelList data, all the Carta data, right? Anything Series A is pretty much impossible to do now. Anything beyond that is non-existent. BC Growth doesn't exist. SoftBank, Coteau, Tiger, they screwed us. They came in, they pumped the top with literally hundreds of billions of dollars and then just disappeared. And now they're trying to sell it all off and make it whole. The pre-seed seed market is kind of a little bit back to normal-ish. Like
Yeah.
valuations are still fine, but the stakes have gone up, which isn't bad because the bar, nothing against founders, some are great, some not so much. The bar is low. It really wasn't like hard to raise capital if you had some experience and a good idea, maybe a product or some good traction.
It seems like the money people dictate the environment moving forward, and if they're doing it on
Yeah,
purpose or not, I don't know the answer. But as you mentioned, Tiger, you know, Vision Fund,
Coteau, SoftBank, Vision.
even the
Yep.
Qatar, family fund, $1 trillion, they're throwing money at things as if things don't exist, if things don't
Yeah.
matter. And it created this bizarre phenomenon, and it created,
ZERP.
yes. And then the other side of the equation is, us founders, us little peas in this tiny little universe we live in,
Yeah.
are still working and trying our hardest. But the circumstances of the environment have changed, not because of anything we did, but because of what the big money
You
people
should have
did.
said no.
Shouldn't have said no. I was talking to a founder the other day. He goes, I had an acquisition call about 14 months ago. And I go, yeah. And he goes, well, I felt like I could build it out to be bigger, but now the world has changed. And I go, I've learned just personally, if you can get an acquisition at an early stage, don't do what's best for you. Do what's best for your business. And if it's better in somebody else's hands than yours, and you could still walk away with, half a shiny penny, at
Yeah,
this point, I get, the founder still was staunch, saying he was still happy he kept it. But now he has to raise more. He's in the business of raising money, pulling his teeth. He'll be out of
more and
cash
more
sooner rather than
years.
later. And they're still working on this thing called product market fit. And I remember we used
Yep.
to joke around. I'd rather sell a business on hopium than reality.
Right, you're worth more. Here, in closing though, Threads. Do you use it?
I go
You tweet a little
on
bit. Do you use
once.
Threads?
I go on once a day, and I noticed, and including myself, I thread. I don't Twitter. So I still go on Twitter 4 or 5 times a day. For some reason,
Yep.
chaos is bizarrely addicting. But I do see it coming on to the other platform more and more. But I do notice friends that have never tweeted or threaded, if that's a verb before, are doing it on the thread. Yes,
Yep.
it had the fastest user base, but that's as expected. That user base is 10 years old.
Yeah.
Not age wise, but how long the user's been
All
using
the
their platform.
properties that they own. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
it's one click from Instagram.
It was too easy, and there was no reason not to, and everybody wanted to get their original handle, and whatever happens to it. Am I rooting for it? Absolutely. I don't think there's been any good competitor to Twitter, which allowed it to be just free reign hellhole. Good for bad, bad for good. I don't know.
Yeah.
I still enjoy it. I still tweak it to become more enjoyable, where you could hide things, or you just search hashtags, so it keeps pounding you with those type of things. But it's become entertainment
Yeah.
opposed to real value.
Yeah. I agree. As a Twitter Roddy, I tweet a lot. Great. 14,000 followers there. Still small. I get on Threads. I'm an early adopter, so I got on as soon as possible, along with all my friends on Twitter. And we're like, hey, what's up? And we're all like engaging each other. Ooh, this is new and shiny. Within a week, even Zuck stopped threading after like 6 days. And yes, it grew to 100 million people because Instagram has what, a billion users, and you click once. But it's interesting. So Twitter, we all came over and we're like, oh, this is cool and shiny. This is boring. This is not toxic or like engagement. Like, I don't know. I have 200 followers on Thread, so like I'm not enjoying it anymore. I put in 10 years into Twitter. They launched it too soon. It has no features. It is just bare, basic, minimum. I follow, I don't know, 200 people, but I see everything, every brand. So what's the point of following people if I see everything? There's no DMs. The notifications are annoying. You got to follow. You got to agree to it. I don't think it's going to die right away, but it definitely, like everything else, it got 100 million and now it's dropped off like 40, 50%. There's no advertising. Fine.
But
They're
it's
not
still
going to monetize
impressive.
it for a while. Fine. I will give him impressive, an accolade. Never truly bet against Zuckerberg. He is one of the greatest people of our generation when it comes to startups and technology.
Yeah.
You click like accept, they're ingesting all your data to feed their AI, right? We're just part of the machine in that sense. So I think it's going to die off slowly. There's going to be a few product features and launches. We'll get a little blip. We'll try it out, but I don't want it. I want to tweet about tech and startups, and these are people who have never tweeted before who don't know tech. If you're not on Twitter, as you said, or the competitors, sure, there's Mastodon, there's Blue Sky. I don't care for those. Those are like the decentralized ones. I don't care for that. Tweet anything you want. Elon lets you do that more or less, which is good and bad. But yeah, threads, not for me. As
But
Weezer said,
the,
hold this thread as I walk away.
yeah, if you want to undo my sweater. Um,
Yeah.
but business model and just business, and we'll end it here. Um, Twitter's business model seems to have completely shattered, right?
About
Advertising.
50%. Yeah.
Red has no advertising base at the moment. I don't know if it's just a money drain or a hole in the pocket, but I don't know what the actual future of Twitter is. People don't understand that things don't die overnight. especially when when you hear like they miss revenue, or they're not profitable, or yeah, things slowly get suffocated. Unfortunately, even
Yep.
my business, when I wanted to quit and I had the worst times ever, I can't just wake up and
You have
start
to stop.
something new. You simply can't. You have to intentionally, yeah, I hate to use hard words, like suffocate the business. And there's two ways to do it. One is purpose, and then the other one is purpose by accident, where you just don't make enough revenue to pay for its expenses. So I think it's in that phase, and he's very open about how he lost 50% of his ad spend just because there's too much chaos on the platform. So I don't know the future. So maybe the alternative is here slowly chipping away because they know they don't have to make money. It's subsidized by a larger platform.
And that's why he launched early enough, just to stick a pin in
Yeah.
it. Cage fight with Elon in the Coliseum. Like, he just went right for the jugular, just copied it straight up. And yeah, Elon down 50% in terms of revenue. Definitely took a little bit hit on views when people kind of pieced out a little bit. But Twitter's got features. It works, right? It's definitely not cash flow positive. He said it. What's the future? He bought it at what, 40 plus billion, 44 billion. Everyone's marked it down like 50%. So it's already worth 25 billion, whatever, less than half almost. And he has the debt load that he raised with it. So between all that, who knows? But like, if Twitter goes down, who am I going to talk to? I gotta see people in person. How do I tweet all my thoughts? I don't know. It's kind of an
Well,
existential
you're good
crisis.
at
I pay
Twitter,
for Twitter. Let me make it clear. I pay $8 a month. I want it to survive. It's helped me
as you should.
personally and professionally. So I'm all for it. I'm a Twitter guy. So Threads, I'm not going to delete you just because you're going to make some updates and I won't have to download you every time. But I'm Twitter +1.
Yeah, man. Let's hope the business plan can somehow stabilize, if not thrive. Um, and what I think is
Anyone
bizarre,
can do
fun,
it.
cute, hilarious about this new modern world we live in, we could both predict that that would be the most popular paper. It's not even the two greatest athletes fighting each other. It's the two greatest CEOs literally fighting each other. I think that would get
Yeah.
$1 billion pay per click. Mayweather wouldn't even be a dot on the fucking board with the
Yeah.
pay per
Yeah.
click.
I'd
This
pay.
bizarre
I'd pay
phenomenon.
$10.
I
Yeah,
would,
I'd
yeah,
pay
I would
10
pay
bucks to
ten
watch that
bucks.
fight. 100%.
Mayweather
There's a
and them,
business
I'll watch the
model.
highlights. But to watch this fight for some reason, whether it's true or not, the society we live in today, it's this weird world where that is a winning
Yeah.
proposition.
Yep. It's weird. And only getting weirder every day. We're moving too fast. Yep. But that brings us to the end. So this was a good one.
It brings you
Episode
to
12.
what's the Ferris Bueller? If life goes by, you got to slow down sometimes.
Yeah.
So, or
Yep.
life will just
Go
fly
touch
by
some
you.
grass,
So,
everybody.
yeah, go breathe some
Awesome.
air. Go jump in the
Yep.
ocean. It's all for the better. Stay real
Yep.
out there.
Later.